Hello everybody. Yesterday I watched a video by the armchair historian about the Vietnam War from a Vietnamese perspective. If any of you guys haven't watched that video, please go and check it out because the animation is gorgeous and the guy, I don't know his name, did an excellent job in conveying our perspective. Luna Oi has made a video commenting on that one, and I think she disagreed on some parts because of the inaccuracy. However, for me as a person who don't know too well history, I must say that the sentiment in the armchair historian's video is pretty accurate. Recently, I also saw some memes comparing the current crisis in Afghanistan to the fall of Saigon in 1975. I mean, I could see where the similarities come from, but what you guys are calling the fall of Saigon is for us the rise of our independence. By the way, just some disclaimer before I jump into the video. I am by no means representing the view of all Vietnamese. I don't have any direct war experience. My parents were very small during that time, and I did hear some stories from my dad, but it was mostly after the war. My late grandparents didn't talk too much about it, at least not to me because I was too small, I guess. So all the things I'm putting here are the things that I've learned from school growing up. The number one thing about the Vietnam War that a lot of foreigners tend to think is that it's a war between North versus South Vietnamese, and the Americans were just supporting the South Vietnamese government. Even the video by the armchair historian is titled "From the Perspective of North Vietnamese." From our perspective, it was the war of all Vietnamese against the Americans' invasion. That's why we call it the American War. The war against the Americans is just a fraction in a long history of Vietnam constantly fighting all these big countries trying to invade and colonize us. More than 1,000 years against the Chinese, 100 years against the French, and eventually about 20 years against the Americans. We are just a freaking small country. We were already struggling to feed ourselves, We ain't poking anybody. But these big guys keep coming to us with guns and stuff. The South Vietnamese government for us was a puppet of the American government. The South Vietnamese government at the time was extremely corrupt. Therefore, many Vietnamese who lived in the South fully supported the Viet Cong, which is the term for the Vietnamese Communist Force. Later on, when I learned more about the Americans' perspective, I just realized that even though the Vietnamese and the Americans were fighting against each other, they were not fighting the same war. The Americans were fighting against an ideology, and the Vietnamese were just fighting for our independence. But so many people died because of such nonsensical war. Now in peacetime, we Vietnamese hold no grudge against the Americans or the French. So please come to Vietnam whenever this panini is over. Patriotism is the one thing that all Vietnamese share and are obligated to share. This is the thing that helped us gain independence from constant foreign threats. One thing I find mind-boggling about the West, back in 2019, I saw the news about Megan Rapinoe. I hope I'm not butchering her name. Anyway, she played in the US national team and she refused to sing national anthem at the World Cup. In 2016, an American student who was dissatisfied with the election result burned the American flag in front of the crowd. I was baffled. In Vietnam, you would be immediately jailed for carrying out such an act. Not only jailed, but you would be forever condemned by all Vietnamese. A few months ago, I also watched this video by Easy German, in which Germans were interviewed on the street about whether or not they are proud of being a German. In Vietnam, if you're in the public and asked whether you're proud of being a Vietnamese, you dare say that you're not. That's why I was so amazed at how some Germans could just say publicly that there's nothing to be proud of being a German.
Ich kann ja nur stolz auf etwas sein, auf was ich Einfluss hatte und was eine eigene Leistung von mir ist. Also, dass ich in Deutschland geboren wurde, ist ja Zufall.
Ich finde, Patriotismus ist irgendwie nicht zu raufmangeln. Also
das ist ja die niedrigste Form an Identifikation, die man haben kann. Also wenn ich nichts habe, worüber ich mich selber identifiziere, dann nehme ich meine Herkunft.
Well, they explained that it's because being a German is not something they chose or they have to work towards it. And it's not appropriate to say that you're proud of something that you didn't put any effort in. Yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from. I talked to my boyfriend about it. He's a German, and he said that except sport events, no Germans would fly a German flag just for no reason. On a German TV show a few years ago, a guest brought a small German flag, and his act of bringing his own country's flag on a television was deemed by Germans to be provoking. And I was like, why? Why? Do you know how Vietnam looks like when it's our national holiday? It looks like this. In Vietnam, the first thing I learned on my first days to school when I was 6 years old is the 5 things Uncle Ho taught us. We call Ho Chi Minh Uncle Ho. It's like our 5 commandments. Can't remember so well, but we chanted these 5 commandments every single day before class. All classes have a photo of Ho Chi Minh right in front on top of the board. Every Monday, we had the flag raising ceremony in which we sang our national anthem, saluted the flag, and chanted, "For our socialist country, for the ideal of our great Uncle Ho, we are ready." It's fun time. One of our popular songs sings that, "Don't ask what the country has done to you, but ask what you have done for the country." Growing up, I always thought that country is the state and the state is the party. But when I learned about other countries, I just realized that, okay, these 3 things are not the same and they shouldn't be the same. I guess growing up in such an environment instills in me a great sense of respect for the authority. I think Vietnam is doing very well. Of course, there's still a lot of problems to fix, but I'm very optimistic. I think regardless of what ideology my country is pursuing, I respect the course of history that led Vietnam to where it is today. I respect the fact that my country is doing its best to hold on to its moral values and its traditions, because they are the things that make our country the way it is today. Sometimes such a strong sense of community could get very annoying because it seems like everybody is in everybody's business and it's easy for people to be harassed. And you are not always free to say whatever you want to say. There's always a trade-off, you know what I mean? I also saw this post on Reddit from somebody who lives in a country where many big industries are nationalized. I wish nationalization could solve your problem. I wish. The most common misconception is that when there's a social problem, there will be an ideal solution and that solution will just fix it all. In reality, when there's a social problem, there will be a solution and that solution will create another set of problems. Now the question is, which kind of problem is less catastrophic? This fantasizing about an alternative ideology against your country's value with the knowledge that that ideology has created so many atrocities and has taken so many lives. It's just weird. Vietnam just came out of the war 40 years ago, and the people who lived during wartime are only 1 generation away from me, so no words could describe how I am grateful about the peace and the freedom I'm having today, and I don't want to take it for granted. Freedom is fragile. If we don't hold it dearly, we risk not being able to see it again in our lifetime. That's it for today's video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.